Hello students, welcome to Exam Vidya Academy. Your success is our motto. We should consistently do hard work for getting success and achievement throughout the life. This is part 4 of ICSE Board Class 10th Previous Year Question Paper 2019 of Social Science Paper 1 History Questions. In this video, I am going to discuss part 2 of the question paper section B, which carries 50 marks. I will discuss all the questions with relevant facts. Prior to this, I have uploaded 3 parts of this topic. If you didn't watch those videos, make sure to watch them first. Link is given below. If you are new on my channel, then hit the subscribe button, click the bell icon so that you can get the notification of my new videos. Have a look on the question paper. This is part 2 of the question paper, carries 50 marks. Section B. In section B, you have to attempt any 3 questions. Conditions are given. On the base of conditions, you have to attempt the questions. Now the condition is, the second half of the 19th century witnessed a growth of a strong feeling of nationalism. With reference to the statement, answer the following. Let us start from the first question. Write any 3 repressive colonial policies of the British. 3 repressive colonial policies of the British were the Vernacular Press Act, the Arm Act 1878, the Ilbert Bill 1883. First I gave the short points, then I explained the points. This is the best way of writing, especially in board level exam or any higher level exams. If you write in this way, you can score very well in exam. Simultaneously, you can memorize, understand and explain the points with your own words in easy way. The Vernacular Press Act. In British India, the Vernacular Press Act was passed in 1878 by the then Viceroy of India, Lord Lytton, which empowered the government to confiscate the Indian language newspapers if they expressed the criticism towards British and curtailed the freedom of Indian press. According to this act, no Indian newspapers could publish anything against the British rule. This act was later repealed by Lord Ripon. The Arm Act 1878. According to this act, no Indian could possess weapons without a valid license. However, Europeans and Anglo-Indians were allowed to keep arms without license. This caused resentment among the Indians. This was the big discrimination between Indian people and European people. The Ilbert Bill 1883. The Ilbert Bill was a legislative act introduced in 1883 during the tenure of Viceroy Lord Ripon. This Viceroy's name also you should remember properly. The bill sought to create political equality by vesting Indian judges with the power to try European or British citizens residing in India. However, due to vehement protest by Europeans, this bill was withdrawn. This enraged the Indians. Now Indians realized that British rule only do the discrimination. This rule is not good for Indians. That's why they started protesting against the British rule. Now the question is, state any 3 ways in which the press played an important role in developing nationalism amongst Indians. Points are, instilled the feeling of equality, freedom and other aspects of the nationalism. Criticized the unjust policies. encouraged to organize political movement. Let us discuss the points one by one. Instilled the feeling of equality, freedom, and other aspects of the nationalism. Many newspapers and magazines such as Amrit Bazar Patrika, the Bengali, the Pioneer, the Hindu, and the Tribune spread the message of equality, liberty, home rule, and independence among people. Criticized the unjust policies. Press criticized the unjust policies of British and exposed the true nature of the British rule in India. Through newspapers and press, people came to know about the real picture of British rule in India. Encouraged to organize political movement. The newspapers also encouraged various communities and groups to organize political movements in the country. Through newspapers, people came to know about the real scenario of British rule in India. They wanted to throw the British rule from India, so they started mobilizing. They started doing the political movement for fulfilling their dreams. Now the question is, explain briefly any three differences in the methods adopted between the early nationalists and radicals in the national movement. These questions are not only important for 10th class but also for many competitive exams. Three differences in the methods adopted between the early nationalists and radicals in the national movements were. Whenever you show the differences, then you should write in tabular form. It is the best way of writing. One side you write early nationalist and second side you write radicals. Early nationalists adopted only constitutional method for fulfilling their objectives and opted the method of 3 Ps: prayer, patience, and protest. In contrast, radicals adopted extreme and violent methods to meet their demands. The early nationalists believed in entering the assemblies, while radicals believed in boycott. The early nationalists believed in reconciliation, while radicals believed in boycott of foreign goods and use of Swadeshi. Now, seventh question. The condition is, with reference to the picture given below, answer the following questions. Now the question based on the given picture is, identify the memorial built for those who were killed in this incident. I think most of you can identify the memorial. This memorial is very famous memorial. It is the Jallianwala Bagh Memorial, which is built for preserving the memory of those who were wounded and killed in the incident of Jallianwala Bagh massacre that occurred on 13th April 1990. This incident was one of the most important incidents in Indian national freedom, and this created the wide dissatisfaction amongst the Indians. And after this incident, all sections of the society were dissatisfied with the policies of British rule. Now the question is, where did this incident take place? This incident took place in Amritsar in Punjab. Name the movement launched by Gandhi in 1920 as a consequence. The answer is the non-cooperation movement was launched by Gandhiji in 1920 in the protest of Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Now the question is, explain briefly the reasons for the suspension of this movement by Gandhiji in 1922. The reasons for the suspension of this movement by Gandhiji in 1922 were: first we will see the points, then we will see the explanations. Due to Chauri Chaura incident, then many satyagrahis started opting violative measure due to lack of support of some prominent leaders. Due to Chauri Chaura incident, at Chauri Chaura police station, which is currently situated in UP, 22 policemen were burnt alive, which was against the philosophy of non-cooperation movement, because the non-cooperation movement was supposed to be conducted through non-violence. So it was withdrawn by Gandhiji. Then many satyagrahis started opting violative measure. In many places, satyagrahis became violent and started breaking the concept of non-violent. Therefore, for saving the clean image of this movement, Gandhiji suspended the movement, because Gandhiji didn't want to accept the method of violence in this movement. Due to lack of support of some prominent leaders within Congress, some leaders tired of mass movement. Now they wanted to participate in elections. So whenever in any movement, if the prominent leader will not give the proper support, the movement cannot be run for a long time. Same thing happened with this movement also. So Gandhiji decided to withdraw this movement. Now the question is, state any four impacts of the movement. Points are: made national movement a mass movement. This movement brought the people of entire section of society together, irrespective of their caste, creed, religion, status, and so on. First time happened in national movement that all sections of society came together and they decided to protest against the British rule. Then generated the desire for freedom. This movement awakened people about the freedom and inspired them to throw the colonial rule from India. In this movement, people got the staunch feeling of nationalism and they wanted to get freedom at any cost. They were also ready to sacrifice their life for getting freedom. Strengthened Hindu-Muslim unity. First time in this movement, Hindu-Muslim united against British rule and promoted social reform, because with this movement, Khilafat movement also took place. In Khilafat movement, Muslims were protesting against the British rule. So these two prominent communities came together and they decided to throw the British rule from India. Then gave impetus to the handicraft and local industries. The concept of Swadeshi and the boycott of foreign goods gave impetus to the handicraft and local industries. For protesting against the British rule, people decided to opt the concept of Swadeshi and boycott the foreign goods. They decided not to use the foreign goods. This gave the impetus to the handicraft and local industries. In the next question, condition is: with reference to the national movement from 1930 to 1947, answer the following. State any three features of the program of the civil disobedient movement launched in 1930. First, we need to know about the meaning of civil disobedient movement. In civil disobedient movement, mass of the people or satyagrahis decided not to follow the British rule or disobey the British rule. Three features of the program of the civil disobedient movement launched in 1930 were: people broke the exploitative British salt law by manufacturing salt. Indian people had to pay taxes for salt during British time. Salt is one of the most essential food items. How exploitative it was. So, mass of the people or satyagrahis decided to break British salt law by manufacturing salt. For this, Dandi March took place. Satyagrahis went to Dandi, manufactured salt, and broke the exploitative British salt law. Foreign clothes and other foreign goods were boycotted. Foreign liquor shops were also protested. Now, the people of India or Satyagrahi didn't want to give support to British rule. For this, they started protesting in many ways. They protested foreign liquor shops, boycotted foreign clothes and other foreign goods for showing their protest against British rule. Peasants denied to pay taxes and revenues. During British time, peasants had to pay many taxes or revenues. This was very exploitative. Peasants were not able to pay taxes and revenues. So, peasants of India also wanted to protest against the British rule. So, by denying to pay taxes and revenues, they showed their protest against the British rule. What was the significance of the Second Roundtable Conference held in 1930? The Second Roundtable Conference took place between 7th September to 1st December 1931. Mahatma Gandhi represented the Indian National Congress and Sarojini Naidu represented Indian women. The significances of this movement were: refusal of the dominion status of India. British government refused to grant dominion status to India. The demand of separate electorates was raised. The demand of separate electorates was raised not only by Muslims but also by people of depressed classes, Anglo-Indians, Indian Christians and Europeans. Announcement of the Communal Award. The British government announced the Communal Award for raising the representation of many communities to divide Indians, because we all know that British policy was divide and rule. Gandhiji opposed this award and the Pune Pact was signed between him and Ambedkar that gave depressed classes, later to be known as scheduled caste, reserved seats in provincial and central legislative councils in British India. Many historians considered this communal award and separate electorates as one of the main reasons for the partition of India. State any four clauses of the Cabinet Mission Plan of 1946. Cabinet Mission Plan of 1946 established Constituent Assembly in India, which framed the Constitution for India. Four clauses of the Cabinet Mission Plan of 1946 were: first is establishment of the Federal Union. A federal union of British province and princely estate would be formed. Federal means the division of power into more than one government. Some important subjects such as defense, foreign affairs, communication would be under the jurisdiction of the union government. Then, provincial autonomy. The provinces would have full autonomy over all subjects except union subjects. Nowadays also, states have autonomy except union subject. Representation of minorities. Separate representation would be allotted to the Muslims and Sikhs. Setting up a constituent assembly and an interim government. An interim government would be established at center with 14 members until a new government was formed based on the constitution written by the Constituent Assembly. For ninth question, condition is with reference to the rise of dictatorships and Second World War, answer the following. State any three reasons for the rise of fascism in Italy. Three reasons for the rise of fascism in Italy were due to the dissatisfaction after the end of the First World War. Italy had joined the Allies in the First World War for gaining German and Turkish territories. Do you know many countries in First World War were involved with the motive of gaining territories or expanding territories. But up to the end of the First World War, it could manage to get southern Tyrol and Trentino and a few coastal regions of Dalmitra and failed to pursue her dream to acquire German and Turkish territories. Therefore, there was dissatisfaction in Italy after the end of the First World War. Now, Italy started searching the another way through which Italy could gain the territories or expand the territories. So, Italy thought that through fascism, Italy could gain the territories or expand the territories. Political instability. After introduction of democracy in Italy in 1919, no single party could receive majority in the election, which led to the political instability. Six coalition governments were formed within 3 years, i.e. 1919 to 1922. The coalition parties never talked mutually upon the government policies on economic reforms, riots, strikes, and unemployment. This happens in many countries. Wherever coalition government is made, it is very difficult to establish the mutual understanding among the parties. And it also gives the way for political instability. In Italy, same thing happened. Now, Italy wanted to search the way through which it could establish the political stability. So, Italy thought that through fascism it could establish the political stability. Economic crisis. Italy had to face severe economic crisis after the end of the First World War. Many trades and industries were collapsed. Italy had to also face large-scale unemployment and severe shortage of food grains. This gave the way for rising the fascism in Italy. Mussolini, the leader of fascism, took the advantage of this situation. He convinced the people that the fascism is only way for overcoming this bad situation. Like Hitler, the way Hitler acted in Germany politics, same way Mussolini acted in Italy politics. So due to these reasons, fascism rose in Italy and Mussolini became a popular leader of Italy. Explain any three consequences of World War II. Three consequences of World War II were: defeat of the Axis powers, Then formation of the United Nations Organization. This is very important point. Then independence of many African and Asian countries. Defeat of the Axis power. In the Second World War, the Axis powers consisted of Germany, Italy and Japan were defeated. Germany was administered by Britain, France and USA with its capital at Bonn. It followed capitalism. East Germany was occupied by Soviet Union with Germany as its capital. It followed socialist ideologies. Then formation of the United Nations Organization for maintaining internal peace and security and to prevent from the occurrence of further war. The United Nations Organization was formed on 24th October 1945. Independence of many African and Asian countries. After Second World War, many countries such as India, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, China, Ghana, etc. became independent. Name the two rival blocs that fought against each other during World War II and state its signatory countries. The two rival blocs that fought against each other during World War II were Axis powers and Allies. Let us see the signatories countries of each bloc. Axis powers consisted of Germany, Italy and Japan. Allies Britain, France and USSR. USA joined later. USA joined after Pearl Harbor attack in December 1941. Now for question 10th, the condition is the necessity to maintain international peace led to the establishment of the United Nations organizations. With reference to the statement, answer the following. Write any three functions of UNESCO that preserves our cultural heritage. The three functions of UNESCO that preserves our cultural heritage are preservation of monuments and other important works of art. UNESCO provides financial assistance, equipment and technical advice for the preservation of monuments and other important works of art. This is one of the most important works or functions of UNESCO. Protection of the cultural inheritance. UNESCO protects world inheritance of books, works of art and rare manuscripts. It also encourages translation of rare manuscripts for preserving our cultural heritage. Sends cultural missions to different countries. UNESCO sends cultural missions to various countries for promoting peace and prosperity among world people. State the composition of the Security Council. Composition of the Security Council. Security Council is an executive body of United Nations organizations. It consists of 15 member countries. They are 5 permanent members: China, France, Russia, Britain and United States of America. Got the permanent seat in UNO. All permanent members have power to veto. 10 non-permanent members. 10 non-permanent members of the Security Council is consisted of 5 members for the Afro-Asian countries, 2 members from the Latin American countries, 2 members from West European and other countries, and 1 member from the East European countries. These non-permanent members are elected for a term of 2 years by the 2/3 majority of votes in General Assembly. Now the question is, write any 4 functions of the General Assembly. Four functions of the General Assembly are: makes recommendation, conducts elections, receives and considers reports, approves budget. General Assembly makes recommendation on the principles of cooperation while maintaining peace and security, and on any question which may affect the powers and functions of any organ of the United Nations. Conducts elections. General Assembly elects the non-permanent members of the Security Council and the judges of International Court of Justice. Receives and considers reports. General Assembly receives and considers reports from the Security Council and other organs of the UNO. Then approves budgets. General Assembly considers and approves the budget of United Nations organization. Thank you for watching my video. Please like, share and subscribe.